What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Line Show where we're doing our best to be the resource and the bridge between our fellow investors, entrepreneurs, and the cryptocurrency world, where we feel like crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next few years. So we're pumped to have you guys along for the ride. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here in the beautiful country of Puerto Rico, just having a great time on this journey with me, my friends, and family, where we're going to use cryptocurrency as that wealth creation tool and use real estate as that wealth preservation tool. And I still feel like we are in the right spot at the right time, right before the Bitcoin halving, right before the presidential election, while the Fed's still wrecking the markets. Even though we're in a bloody market ourselves, I feel like we are still in the right place at the right time. And today's going to be a fun one. This is always one of my favorite shows, is the Open Mic Friday. I would encourage any of you guys or all of you guys to come on and let's rap. Let's talk about Pulsechain. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about real estate. We don't care. We just love talking about money in general with you guys. So, man, what a time to be alive.
Oh, it's wild. I saw a tweet, and I want to see if I can find it here. I thought it was pretty intriguing. They had a picture of Jerome Powell, and they said the world waits to see what Jerome wants to do with the economy. And they gave an example. They said, imagine a home builder needing to wait for one centralized person to tell them how to measure boards to frame a property. Because essentially that's what Jerome is doing for not only the United States, but a large part of the world, where he's the one that's saying, okay, now's the time that we cut, now's the time that we print. And so, man, it's interesting to wait and see. One of the questions I've been thinking a lot about, and in fact, love your guys. Once again, feel free to come in here live. I posted the link in the chat. If you just copy and paste it in your browser, you can come in. But I love your guys' insights on the economy as a whole. And man, is there a scenario where I don't think that anything sees a sustained pump until the macro, turns a little bit more bullish. We could see short-term pumps, and we've seen some of the stuff on Pulsechain do these short-term pumps, but gosh, until the macro starts looking up again, I think the pumps in just about everything crypto related will continue to be short-term. What do you think about that, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, there's an old saying in the stock market world, and I think we had talked about this the other day on our show. And some of the things that we learned from being in the bear market is you never bet against the Fed. You don't go long, you don't get bullish when the Fed is hawkish, when the Fed is raising the rates, and it's just overall. And like you said, there's always going to be short-term pumps, and there's always going to be something that might be doing well in the short term. But if you're looking for those major gains long term, and this is not just in crypto, this is like everything, stocks, real estate, whatever you're looking at, when the Fed is doing what they are supposed to be doing, which right now is getting the inflation down while still trying to maintain the unemployment. But the unemployment's so low, they don't even care. Like, they're going to keep being hawkish because right now the unemployment is so low, and that's their only two mandates. So the Fed's only two mandates is unemployment and inflation, and so they're going to keep raising and doing what they're doing until they see that unemployment tick up. The problem is we watched that Colin Talks Crypto video the other day, and you guys should go back and watch I think it was on Monday we did that show. It was an amazing show. By the time the unemployment starts ticking up, it's kind of like we're in it's too late to turn back kind of territory, where the economy goes through its crash and we see, that big giant, red candle in the stock market on the S&P 500. And it always happens after a Fed pivots. And I don't think it's going to be any different this time, man. I just don't. Why would it be different? And until proven otherwise, you don't bet against it. And I still think we have that coming, and we could see a rally during the Bitcoin halving. We could see something, I don't know, take place during that. But overall, man, I'm still bearish. Definitely short term. I'm bullish long term. Yeah. I'm bullish in Pulsechain long term, but short term, yeah, man, I'm bearish. It's you don't bet against the Fed. I wish I would have took that advice a little bit more to heart during this period of accumulation that I've been doing in my DCA strategy, because if I'd have taken that to heart a little bit more, I would have saved some of my more of my economic energy for on my DCAs here on the backside. I would have still have been DCAing, but I wouldn't have been as heavy on the front end versus the back end, because really what am I doing? I'm betting against the Fed. And I would have really saved myself some heartache, because then the SEC would have came out and then we'd have had that red candle. And then man, I wish I'd have been DCAing with the economic energy that I was doing in the beginning. But how do you know? But still, I should have never bet against the Fed. And I've heard that saying over and over again from other macro economists. And, I ignored it. And so crypto is very volatile. It's very risk on. And so when the Feds reckon the markets, well, it's a risk off time, right? The dollar is going to retain its value against, these kind of assets. And so, it was a lesson learned. And I know now not to bet against the Fed, but, it's coming, man. We still have our time in the sun coming. And I think it's going to happen next year. Whether they have one more rate hike in them, or maybe two more, who knows? They'll hold it probably for a little bit. And then when they see something break or unemployment tick up too high, they'll turn the money printers back on and start what do they call it? It's hawkish when they're raising rate, dovish. I think it's dovish.
Yeah, I think that's
it is.
When they're going quantitative easing, QE. And one of my mentors, Dane, and you know him, Sean Terry, Sean Terry also plays a lot in the stock world. He loves real estate and he loves stocks. And he's like, anytime before I left Arizona, I would see him at a local event. He would be like, anytime they announce QE in the upcoming year or so, that is your signal that we bottomed. And so, and he's told me that multiple times. I wish I listened, man. I'm so stubborn, bro. I don't know why I'm so stubborn. But he's like, yeah, when they say QE is on, stock market's bottom is going to bottom, or it's going to bottom. It's bottom or it's going to bottom. And he goes, and at that point, you can go out and start buying assets again, whether it's stocks, whether it's real estate, obviously crypto. It's going to be a good time to buy. And it's not too far away, though, in my opinion. I think it's going to happen next year. So we'll see. That's my long rant on that. I'm just a little angry with myself for not listening a little bit more to people who are smarter than me.
Sure. With you. What's up, Norbert? How you doing, man?
Hello, guys.
What
You
up?
okay?
Oh,
What are your general thoughts on the economy? Do you agree generally with what Corey just said? Is there anything else you want to add to that?
If you look around, check the news, or even if in your real life to see how the things are going, I think these cycles just completely canceled, because there's so many manipulation in the background, so many significant changes happening. Like BRICS is one of them. I know that their currency is not gonna happen overnight, but at the end of the day, they have quite a few cards in their hands, because they have a lot of population. I mean, a large amount of population, and they have a large amount of resources as well. So I'm sure it's going to affect the financial world and our everyday life in general, probably very significantly. Number one. And number two is, where is the money going to come from? Because just a pure example, real life example, my insurance for a car last year was £1,200, which is like, I don't know, $1,500 a year. Yeah, I have to have this special business type of insurance. This year it went up to £1,900, which is what, like a 60% increase. And
Wow.
and I was like, what? With a 1 year extra no claim, a loyal customer. And I was like, what's going on? So I phoned them up, and then the first girl was a young one I spoke to, She said, it's the cost of living. The parts became really expensive. The price is going up. Is affecting the claims as well. The claims, we had a lot of claims. But I'm like, I understand all these things what you're telling me, but when you looked at your paycheck last time, did it go up like 60, 70% compared to last year? Because my one didn't.
Right.
So how do you expect me to give you like that much? Where am I gonna get these 700 pounds more from? Like do I need to rob someone or steal something, or what do you want me to do? So yeah, and Corey, when we're gonna meet, I hope we're gonna meet one day in person, and then we can shake hands because I've done the same thing recently when we had that drop. I was like, yeah, come on, let's buy. So I asked for one Ethereum from my friend. I went to the market. Yeah, I want this, I want that. Yeah, let's get some of this, some of that. The next week came, we went lower. I said, yeah, let's buy some more. Then the next week came, I bought a little bit more, and now I look at my portfolio. I know we shouldn't look at our portfolio in the bear market, but man, all that extra money I put in, it just bloody disappeared. I don't see any result like compared to the balance I was before. So it's a bit sad. It's a bit sad. But yeah, it's really interesting times we're going through because it's so much happening within a short amount of time, and we don't know what the outcome is going to be of those decisions, those collaborations. uh, and the way how I see it, every single country is like a business. You have incomes and you have expenses. If you look at it that way, and if you look the stability and the financial position of each country, I think most of the businesses, let's say countries, suffering significantly. This printing, this I give you a bond, you buy it back, then I give you yield on it. You give me yield on what? Like it's not, and then they say it's crypto back with nothing. What about these bonds? Back with what? Promises, man. Nothing else. So yeah, it's interesting times ahead for sure. I don't know where the money is gonna come from to put it in crypto, but yeah, let's see.
Yeah. No, those are all good points, and I think it's interesting to evaluate who's going to come into the market to be able to buy these prices back up. There's been a lot of conjecture about whether it be Coinbase or BlackRock, or I even heard some tweets they're saying Robinhood has been the person that's bought like $3 billion worth of Bitcoin over the last several months. I think it'll be really interesting to see the impact of Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs on the market. Does that give us the push that we're looking for to get retail back involved? I think it's likely. I think we see that stuff. Like Corey said, I think that's all part of next year's, rally. And yeah, and I'm excited for it. We're here for it. And yeah, I'm trying to do our best to make more money to be able to buy when the opportunity is right.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked about this a little bit more. I mean, I love to dollar cost average my positions down and get a better entry point, but man, I want to see sentiment in the market in general pick up before I'm real interested in sinking a ton more capital into crypto. Because once again, until we see macro in general head in a more positive direction, there's no reason to not continue to have bleeding. In fact, I really bought into the narrative that, we heard a lot of streamers talk about it before Pulsechain launched. They said, well, who's going to sell at a loss? Who will sell at a loss? Well, apparently a lot of people. A lot of people are willing to sell at losses. Now, of course, you have
People who
whales.
need to buy insurance.
Yeah, people need to pay for car insurance. That's right. I mean, you have whales that with their bonus multiplier are, they've been in profit. So I get those guys, but there's been plenty of people selling at losses. And it's interesting to evaluate. Man, I'm just trying to retain all of this information. You don't need to play things perfectly. You don't need to play things perfectly here in the bottom. And I want to make sure that I retain all these lessons learned, so that as the market continues to progress, I can play my hand a little bit more wisely.
Yeah. Well said.
Yep. So that'll be good. Man, a couple of comments. So both Paul and Super Snake saying Ivan today that MetaMask is changing its terms.
Yeah.
be KYC. That's it. That's interesting.
You're probably going to see also like Uniswap come out
Agreed.
with KYC, and there's going to be a few other. There's just a lot of in 2024. There's a lot of insight that the U.S. government has new regulations coming out for not only the centralized exchanges, brokers, but also for DeFi. They're going to hit them. So like obviously you already see Uniswap complying to anything the Fed or SEC is doing. That's why Hex got delisted, right? It's not really because Uniswap's like, oh, we don't like Hex. No, it's not really it. It's because the SEC was targeting it, and they're like, oh, nope, we're not going to have that on there. And so, all this stuff is not really true DeFi, but I don't know if a true DeFi is going to be able to thrive in the United States in the future. We don't know. I hate KYC, but I do KYC. I mean, I'm KYC'd with Kraken. I'm KYC'd with Coinbase. I was KYC with Trust Token, but we haven't been able to use those guys recently. And so, I have nothing to hide, but it just sucks ass, right? It just sucks that I'm unable to, use crypto the way it was designed to be used. Now, there will be ways to do things around the blockchain that you can, still have anonymity and anything else that you were trying to, but it's becoming more and more gray and even in the black. So it's just you're gonna see things unfold quite differently in the future. And we've had this conversation before, Dave, when we have Identity Block on the show. And that's why I really like Identity Block, even though he some things, he can get pretty negative. But I really feel like he's got his thumb on the pulse when it comes to these regulations and stuff that they're trying to press out for 2024. And so, we might want to think about having him back on again. We always have good conversations when he's on. We always have good converse. It's not like he gets too toxic on our show or anything. He does a great job of just keeping up with all this stuff that's, the bills trying to be passed, what has been passed, what's trying to be changed. Like there's a lot of back and forth with this stuff, even stuff that was passed or stuff that they're trying to, they're trying to take back. I mean, it's a mess. It's a big giant mess. And so, you're going to have MetaMask is owned, guys, by I think it's, who is it? It's not Charles Schwab. It's JP Morgan. They're owned by JP Morgan.
These big ones.
Of course they're going to comply. I mean, what do you think? Uniswap's out in New York. Of course they're going to comply. And so you're just going to have all this stuff. I guess Tornado Cash, the reasoning they charge the guys, the developers, they're just devs of creating. They're going to jail. They charged them because they didn't put the KYC inside Tornado Cash, which would kind of defeat the purpose. You're going to KYC for mixing money. What? I'm very confused in that one. But that's how they're charging them, because they didn't have the KYC there, and they're just
interesting.
They allowed the money launderers and or terrorists, and that they knew that the devs knew that they were going to use the protocol for that purpose, and so that's how they're going. That's how they're sticking it to them. And so, yeah, man, you're going to see a lot more of this. This is one reasoning. I'm planning on going down to Panama on February. Randy Halarski is doing an event. He doesn't have a day yet that he's going to do it. You have to be a Patreon member, and then he's going to do an event for all his Patreons, and then he'll take you to, or actually Tower Bank is coming out to the event, and they will give you a bank account. And Tower Bank has an on and off ramp directly through them. And so I'm going to go out to Panama because I'm going to start exploring other routes and avenues outside of the U.S. Obviously, you guys know I'm in Puerto Rico. This is one way of me having one leg in and one leg out. And I like that. And Panama having another bank account over there would be one more avenue. And so it's these things that I'm going to start looking at in the future. Like I said, I'll KYC. I mean, it's not like I haven't KYC before. I got nothing to hide. I'm not a freaking terrorist. I'm a freaking family man now. I mean,
Right.
I got really nothing to hide, but and I can't. I'm not doing stuff because of taxes. I moved to Puerto Rico to avoid taxes. I'm doing it the right way. Like, you show me the right way to avoid taxes, and I'll do it.
Right.
But
Exactly.
real estate's good for that too. Real estate's a great way to kick the can down the road, if you will. But yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's going to suck, and I think we're going to see more of this in 2024. It doesn't mean price charts can't go up, but it does mean that the reasoning why Satoshi Nakamoto invented Bitcoin in the very early days, it's if he's dead, he's probably rolling over in his grave with all this stuff. It's kind of the ass opposite reason why it was invented. So it sucks. It does suck. And
Yeah.
It's
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, Paul says anti KYC is more about privacy, not less. Yeah, we agree. And there's always it's important to I think increasing your level of sophistication. That's where when people say bear markets are for learning, I think that's so incredibly important to take to heart. And become more sophisticated so that you can utilize tools as they're meant to be utilized, including cryptocurrency. There's always going to be opportunities to be able to do things to keep yourself more safe than less safe. It's a matter of figuring those things out. And people don't want to talk about that out in the open, understandably so, right? People don't want to come and talk about some of these things to remain more anonymous in public because there's risks to that, but there's places where you can go and learn about those things. I think it's important to try to hunt those down and figure them out.
Some of the things that scare me is like if you're operating in DeFi and using things that are not like I guess a security or KYC, and then you try to off ramp money. And I'll give you an example. Like, what if it's fast forward, it's Q4 of 24. We've made 100x to 1,000x on our money in Pulsechain. Just done phenomenal. And we go to off ramp, through Coinbase or Kraken, or if Trust Token's up and running then, or even Coast. And when we're off ramping, they flag it and say, "Oh no, you were operating in this sector of DeFi that is not authorized. You cannot off ramp your millions of dollars into Coinbase and into your bank account." Well, that scenario, something like that, I play that out in my head. I'm like, no, I'm not going to allow it to happen. That's why I'm going to have a bank account in Panama. That's why I'm going to be exploring around with other things out there. I want to start having more conversations like this with people who are smarter than me, who understand what I need to do to try to protect myself and my family, right? Because I'm going to keep participating in crypto. This is a way of life for me now. It really is. I love it. It's amazing. And they're going to try to take it away from us the best that they can. And yeah, man, that scares me. That makes me lose sleep. Like, imagine going through all the work and the headache and this bear market that we've gone through to make 1,000x on our Pulsechain, and then they don't let you cash it out. Imagine that nightmare, man.
Well, I listened to a conversation. I think this was like a year ago, or maybe even longer. But one of the guys I was listening to, they gave this idea of nation states needing to compete for citizens, and that the idea was that as more totalitarianism as that continues to grow, or seemingly to grow in the world, the people naturally go to where they're treated best.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot to be said about that. I hadn't considered real seriously moving out of the United States until really going down the crypto rabbit hole and seeing more and more, what these different regimes want to do and controlling the populace. And gosh, I mean, I think having an open mind and going to places, once again, where you're going to be treated best, there's a lot to be said about that. And I'm imagine, I mean, just like you're saying, Corey, imagine if you had millions of dollars of value after this next bull run, but you live in a place where they said, well, but if you try to off ramp it, the bank's going to freeze it, the government will seize it, and you know, well, then I'm leaving. I'm leaving. That's an easy decision. You know, like there's so many good places to live in the world. I think it's important not to be too attached to any one particular place. And we see this over and over again in life. You know, I can't tell you how many people that you and I both have talked to where, you know, during our years of building businesses, you talk to some very smart people that hate what they do. And they're like, man, I'd love to get out of this, but I spent all this time in education, or I've spent all this time gaining this experience. Like, I can't just like give that up for nothing. And it's like, we're not giving it up for nothing. If you make a pivot, you're giving it up to have the life that you actually want to have instead of this one that you're telling me you're unhappy with. And so it's important to be able to be open and willing to pivot to things when it's time to pivot. And life is full of those opportunities. You know, we don't live in a world anymore where you could stay and do one certain thing in one certain place your entire life and that treats you well for most people.
Well, you know why that is too, is because people don't like living outside their comfort zone. They get very comfortable in their way of life, in their normal job or just whatever it may be. People are creatures of habit. They get comfortable and they hate living outside that comfort zone. We know as an entrepreneur, you're always living outside the comfort zone. It's very. I mean, me moving to Puerto Rico, there was nothing comfortable about this whole change. I love it, but there was nothing comfortable about it, and that's why people are not willing to go out and take that risk. And crypto really is I feel like you're living outside your comfort zone when you invest in crypto, because it's just so risky and it's so, you know, taboo, if you will. And that's why probably most people don't invest in crypto, but that's why there is so much opportunity. So to your point there, yeah, that's where opportunity lies, is outside the comfort zone. You have to go there if you want to experience the 1000x gains, or maybe it's just a better life for you and your family, you know, where you're not living in this socialist type economy anymore, or, you know, where they you know, anytime they talk about a code that the next code that's coming out and the president is timing up with the presidential election, so they want to shut down and make you put mask on and not allow you to go out of your house no more. Like, what? Go F yourself. Get bent. I'll find somewhere else to go where I get treated better. I'll get out of my comfort zone and find opportunity. That's it. That's like, yeah. And so that's one thing about crypto, man, that I love. Oh, Dane, you're muted. If you're.
Oh, thank you. I was just agreeing with you. I think it's so important to be an opportunist rather than being, you know, a maxi in any way, shape, or form in life. I think it's funny to talk to people, even when we were doing real estate real heavily. How I remember going to a lot of real estate conferences and some of the guys that were there. And once again, there's neither right nor wrong in this instance. It's just a matter of what you want. It's interesting. I found that, you know, there tend to be a few people that would stick around for a really long time at these real estate investor associations. And they're like, everybody leaves. Like they leave after 5 or 10 years or 2 years, everybody leaves. And the few of us strong, we're the ones that stick around. And it was really interesting to be around in the space. And after a while, like if you're an opportunist, well, you tend to find different, maybe even better opportunities from just being around and paying attention. And that's why, in my opinion, most people don't stick around at any one particular place, because we're looking where we're going to be treated better, where we're going to be treated best. And if you're willing and you're a risk taker and you're willing to try to live the life of your dreams, then you take those risks, you shoot those shots, and you make a move and you see what happens. And time again, you and I have both seen, and we've been blessed to be able to find that, you know, there's opportunity everywhere. If you just open your eyes, you keep pushing forward, you associate yourselves with the right types of people, well, I promise you can't help but find good opportunities. You can't help but make truckloads of money. Now, once again, I know Corey and I were speaking from a place of abundance and experience from our own personal experiences. I know this isn't everyone's experience, but gosh, man, if you can associate yourself with the right people in places where there's big opportunity and you're willing to listen and be humble, there's enormous opportunities. And that's why we're here in crypto today. It couldn't be more bullish about the future.
They really are a dime a dozen if you are open, if your mind's open enough to see them. It's so, yeah, but most people here actually do see opportunity because they're in crypto. I feel like crypto breaks that barrier a little bit where it does get you out of your comfort zone. It does get you to recognize opportunity. It does, crypto people think differently. We're not
You have to be a risk taker. If you're in right now, you
yeah.
got to have a little bit of risk in your bones and be willing to take some
And we
shots.
get rewarded for doing so. So it's yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Norbert, I love this. I think this is such a good analogy. I love your insights on it. So Paul says it's crazy we're repeating the history of downloading music from the 90s. We're in the Napster chapter right now.
Talk about it all the time, Dane.
I think it's such a good analogy. What are your do you have any thoughts you want to comment on this, Norbert, before I do?
Yeah.
Not on this one, but on the previous one regarding MetaMask. Number one is if we want adoption and more money to come in, we have to make everything more seamless. Like family businesses, or what was it called, family funds, and like smaller corporations. You're not gonna go and download MetaMask and write down 12 words and hide it somewhere, and then hide another guy who is gonna connect your MetaMask to certain. It has to be more seamless, easy. And Corey said it really well that we got nothing to hide. I mean, how you want to cash out one day if you trying to do dodgy things? You have to do these KYC. Unfortunately, it's one of those bad things. But at the same time, I'm sure there's gonna be other platforms which gonna be more legs. So there's always options in the market. You can't just buy one type of Coke or Coca-Cola, or you know what I mean. One type. There's always other options. And I see that it could help us significantly. But yeah, let's see what the outcome is going to be. So when it comes to these 90s, what Napster, sorry, my English is a bit limited. So what is it supposed to mean? What is it going on?
In fact, this will be, I'm curious. So in the 90s, at least here in the States, we would go and you could use something. Did you use Napster? Are you familiar with what it is, Norbert?
Oh man, in the 90s, I was like jumping around for music and record was like a cassette tape. I was listening that in a Walkman.
So at least here in the States, I remember we had dial-up internet, and so
AOL, you got now.
I'm trying to keep everybody from picking up the phone, because if you mess up the phone line, you mess up the download.
Yeah.
And so you get on Napster, and at least for maybe there are people that had faster internet, but man, it'd take like a freaking few hours to download a song, but I could get it downloading, and if nobody picked up the phone line to mess up the internet connection, I'd get it
like
download.
Your brother or sister. They were always...
Yeah, like, no, what are you doing? And man, it was fascinating. I'm telling you, I think this is such an interesting example, because I mean, is it more or less readily available to download content that you want today? Is for free. There is literally
Napster was for free, Herbert. It was all free, but it was considered like illegal, if you will. And I remember when it was huge, when it first came out, I remember the band Metallica like boycotted it, and they were so pissed off that everyone was downloading their music without paying. I was one of them. I remember all that. But yeah, like I can download whatever I want now, or watch whatever I want. It's so easily, widely available. It's ridiculous. And so crypto's gonna be no different.
I agree. And I even found when I was going to college, I mean, I had a friend introduce me to, you could torrent your books. You could
could
a lot of textbooks. I was like, oh, this is unique. There's literally anything that you want out there today. You could, for the most part, get it digitally for free if you know where to look. I'm not condoning that behavior or saying what you should or shouldn't do. You got to make a decision for yourself in that respect. But I think it's a really interesting example how the government said, hey, all of this activity is illegal, but it hasn't stopped it. It's framed how companies like Apple and Spotify and Pandora and Amazon, how they can do content, how they do music, and how they do video and things like that. But once again, it's never been more prevalent now than it was beforehand when it first came out. I think that's where crypto is at right now, that we'll continue to see adoption. I think it could take, a significant amount of time, 5 or 10 more years. But gosh, being here early and figuring out where the niches and opportunities are is a remarkable opportunity. I really feel that way.
Yeah, I'm sure we will be rewarded significantly for our efforts to learn and educate and do the research and take risk, as you were saying earlier. I'm sure it will be.
Yep.
It'll be good for us.
Super Snake has another one. Oh yeah, link to join the live chat. So if you guys, if you want to come into the StreamYard, Corey posted the link. You can go and copy it, just paste it in your browser, and you'll come right in. But this is Super Snake has a comment here, and I see people on Twitter. In fact, in general, I think it's important to wash out the weak hands. We say the lettuce hands. It's important to wash those guys out. But also at the same time, the further that prices dip, you've also got to adjust your top end expectations as well. In my opinion, you've got to be wise about that. I'd prefer no more dipping. I think we've seen enough pain. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a nice bottom and move upward. But it's interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for that to happen, we need some new faces.
Now, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
Man, I got a comment about what y'all just said, because I'm a chiropractor. I'm a sports chiropractor. I went to a local high school to take care of all their athletes. They said, "Oh, sorry, we're in contract with the big hospital. It's not going to work." So I went DeFi on them. Went to one that wasn't in contract, and now I'm their chiropractor. So I'm playing the same game as a chiropractor, not playing with all the dumb rules, and playing the game and making huge gains. So man, it's just part of the deal.
Agreed. Spot on. So many ways to apply that same principle.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yep. What's up, Paul? Go ahead and run with that analogy, man. That was a good one.
Well, I mean, I was like, what, junior high? I remember setting like 5 downloads before you go to bed, and you just run the whole downloads while you were into sleep because nobody's using the phone. Oh yeah, right. living out in the country. That was a way of life for a while, just downloading before, but that all went away. And it just reminded me, remember MP3 players before we got the iPod, how crappy they were. They were just little pieces of garbage. And it's just like, I mean, really our Trezors feel like they're built the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had a little dial that would go through like the song list or whatever it was with a very crappy LED screen. Yeah, just like your Trezor. Just like the Trezor.
I remember, you'd have 3 lines and you'd be clicking 500 songs across 3 lines, just going. Yeah. That's brutal. So eventually, we will get an iPhone version of our wallets, and we'll go away from the 25-word seed words, and we'll go to something like a stream key, or sorry, what's it called? It's how everybody works across the world, but they're still working for the same company and it's still the same amount of, or same level of encryption, but it's like a stream key or something key is what they call it. Okay. But
biometrics.
It's a normal
more.
What's that? It's like the YubiKey. Is that what you mean?
YubiKey. That's it.
YubiKey. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll go to that, and a Tangem wallet I think is already at something like that. I'm gonna. If they're already nabbing MetaMask, which was supposed to be DeFi, not supposed to be able to change, eventually they're going to go after Trezor, and they'll go after the rest of them because they're centralized companies. So, fortunately, I don't use the Trezor software, the suite, but it will have to figure out more creative ways. I about put in some links that if you listen to Bluey travels the world, and the most DeFi person I know. I mean, he's got, I'm not going to blow his spot up, but yeah, he can figure out some ways to get money in his hands very creatively.
Right. Lots of ways. It's important.
I can send you guys the link to the tool website if you want. I'll throw it over here.
Yeah, throw it in.
Yeah, post in the comments.
I mean, you can't take away actual real cold storage for me. If I throw it on a set of keys and there's no Trezor connected to those keys or Ledger or MetaMask, I mean, I'm talking cold storage. You can't get to that.
Yeah, but every single solution at the moment is related to a brand or a company which is producing these things, so they can just easily.
Norbert, you could generate keys and destroy the device that it generated from, and you'd have cold storage.
Unfortunately, the paper wallets aren't even secure anymore. The BTC paper wallets. There's Richard just posted on that how they can kind of spoof that. There was somebody that moved Bitcoin years ago into a paper wallet, thought it was there, went to check on it, and it was gone.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Now I do know that I've screwed up and either had the wrong secret phrase or had one of my other Trezors connected and didn't realize. I was like, damn it, this wallet isn't with this Trezor. You can't access the funds that are in a Trezor without having that Trezor. Even MetaMask can't. So because I've screwed it up myself and it locks up the browser and everything just goes haywire and you got to restart the computer.
Well, as long as but what do you mean? As long as you have the keys, you could import those keys to any type of wallet that you want to use.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, but it could get messy. In fact, I was on a one-on-one with one of our students yesterday, and we were trying to figure out and I had a moment of panic because we'd set up a Trezor hidden wallet, and we'd just taken, it was like $5,000 from his crypto.com account and transferred it over to his hardware wallet. And then we're trying to go through and bridge the funds, and the transaction keeps failing. And I'm like, okay, you typed in your passphrase correctly in the browser, right? He's like, yeah, we did it a few times. I'm like, but it keeps failing. I'm like, please don't let him have written it down wrong. And now this money's freaking stuck forever. But it just ended up that he'd imported into MetaMask his standard wallet from his Trezor device, not the hidden wallet. And so we're able to go and resolve it. It was easily resolved. I had a slight moment of terror there where I was like, well, we may have just locked up $5,000.
It is gone. Little things like that right there that you had just talked about that does make it a little bit more difficult for the whole world to onboard. Kind of like what Norbert was saying.
And that's why the adoption is not happening the way it's happening. And moving to your point earlier, Dane, you said you want to see green candles. So what would be the initiative for the people to come and put their money on our horse? Because until Liquid Loan comes out, until Power City comes out, until all these new projects comes out, that's the first spark needs to happen. Then is no new money gonna come in, because everything is just like stagnating right now. You have your farms. I look at it, let's say every day. I'm like, yeah, I earned a little bit more. Okay, maybe a week later I'm gonna take some and then put it back. That's what I'm doing because I'm earning so little. It's only weekly I can do these things.
Oh, Norbert, you don't think Pulsechain can survive with just Hex, Pulse, and Pulse X?
Seriously.
Was that sir?
Blasphemy, bro. Blasphemous.
No, and even then, Norbert, like I still think, Liquid Loans should have their Oracle that they're sharing. That sounds like that'll be out. It's the 25th today. It sounds like it should be out, sometime in the next
soonish
30 days. Yeah, probably maybe a little bit sooner. And then we'll see some more of these things. But honestly, even once again, like in my opinion, once again, I could be wrong, and we don't give any financial on this show. I think for me, even then, I think anything that's going to be launching here in the short term, it'll be a short-term pump that's not sustained, because we need Bitcoin and Ethereum to kind of lead the way. And until those things are leading the way and the markets as a whole, like people are getting excited again, there's just not continued money to come in and buy up any of those assets, in my opinion. There's just not. So I'd love to be wrong. If you guys have more insight on that or dissenting opinions, I'd love to hear them. But I think that's where we're at.
Yep. That's my
I think everybody knows September is always a bloodbath. It always is. I mean, right there before the fiscal year rolls over in October, it's always just.
Plus, it's the end of the Jubilee year. Jubilee ends on the 17th. And yeah, man. So I think September could be pretty bloody. I think October, to your point, Paul, could be pretty good. I think October is when we start to see things come back to life. Whether our ecosystem does or not, it's remained to be unseen. But if we have all these protocols rolling out in September, along with the Oracle, we maybe then can have our own late DeFi summer, because it's not really summer anymore when you're in October. But yeah, we can have a DeFi fall.
Right.
Yeah. If you go back and you look, what was it's not Yeah, it is Shemitah. That happens every 7 years, wasn't it? Yeah. So
7
you go back
years
and look at
Shemitah, but it's every 50 years the Jubilee year happens.
right, and it's essentially just withholding. That's all it means is we're just holding out of the markets for an extra year, or they were. That's what
Correct.
Shemitah is.
It's their year of rest.
Sami posted a video earlier, and he's going back and looking at all the years. I mean, Bitcoin just a bloodbath in September, but the last time it was green was 2014 and 2015 when Shemitah ended. So I've had a theory. I'm wondering if money just rushes in the last week and a half, 2 weeks of September, just comes flooding back in.
It wouldn't surprise me.
The only way I see this happening is when more and more people are going to realize, because now we have a lot of marketing happened recently thanks to the documentary and these SEC case. We are talked about on every single platform. So let's say these new protocols comes out, like I mentioned earlier, liquid loans and the what's the other guys? Power City. Thank you. Power City guys comes out, and then let's say that the smart money comes in, and then they say, okay, so I can bet my money on Bitcoin and Ethereum and these other bigger blue chip coins, but my gain's gonna be like 2-3x. Or I could use these protocols and use what Kiyosaki and all these other guys are doing, and I think even Trump did it before, when they just borrow against their own assets and use that money to make more money. If that happens, maybe that could be a spark for us, and then it starts slowly, and then we just share these positive things with the rest of the world, and that could be an option for us to pump.
Yeah, I mean it could, but once again, I'm of the mindset that until money typically goes to Bitcoin first and then floods other places, until Bitcoin's leading the charge. I mean, I think we got to see Bitcoin at 30, 40, closer to 50K to really
Yeah, I saw somewhere, Dane, there's some, I don't know how this is measured, but there's a statistic out there where if once Bitcoin closes a monthly candle above 40, I think it was 44K, that's when retail will usher back in. That's when you'll see, I can't remember where I saw but it was, I remember it resonated with me. I was like, oh, wow, that makes sense. But so, yeah. And I mean, maybe by the end of the year, who knows? I mean, what did we just touch? We touched what, 33, 32? Where do we hit?
Something like that, yeah.
Right around there.
32, 33. So
I know Pulsechain went to 5 zeros today.
Hey.
I put the most amount of money on Pulsechain and looking at it right now. Yes, man. Congratulations.
There's a lot of people on that boat. Yeah.
Yeah. But man, when we do pump, and then we've had a couple of short-term pumps, I noticed every time we have a pump, Pulsechain is usually the one that pumps the hardest. Because it's probably it's
down the most.
It's down the most, right? It's got the most damage, but man,
or you can just
it rips.
Yeah, or you can just do what I do as a non-financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Because the value of my bags dropped significantly, I'm just using other protocols like PHUX, and then I just keep chunking money back, and then I'm earning yield. I put the yield back as well, because impermanent loss, yeah, you can say it, but right now my value loss is so huge that I don't really care about impermanent loss, so.
Well, and I think you can manage risk with your liquidity providing too. It's interesting to look at a chart like fiat versus Pulse. I mean, fiat just hit a new all-time high versus Pulse. It's like 6,000 Pulse for every one fiat is what it hit the other day, or something like that.
Say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah. And so I think it's important to be able to manage your LP positions in such a way, if you are providing liquidity, that you're watching things of that nature and your assets that you have paired together. I pulled most of my LP positions. Now that we should, in my opinion, we should start seeing some of these third-party protocols launching within the next 30, 60, 90 days. and I don't want to be paired in any way, shape, or form in liquidity to some of those newer things, because I think that's where we'll get the gains, at least short term. I think there'll be some unique opportunities to be able to go and make some money now and some of that stuff. But once again, I don't think any of that stuff will be sustained in at least in terms of USD. I don't think that'll be sustained. And so, I'd consider taking chips off the table. If you do get a nice pump out of something, there might be some wisdom in taking some chips off the table in the short term.
Yep. You could play a little bit of the law of meme coins with, I know a lot of people don't like B Roots, but I love B Roots. I feel like even though I don't play the meme coin game, he's got a lot of knowledge from his experience in the market. And man, every single thing that's launched, including Pulsechain, is follow the law of memes, because we're in a bear market.
Close to it, yeah.
Because we're in a bear market. This is how it works. And,
when Where Did the ETH Go came out a few weeks ago, if you didn't play a lot of the meme coins, would you still be holding that? I probably would have. Like, I played a lot of meme coins. I won big on that, and then I've got like 10 of them left over on Ethereum. But yeah, I won whenever it was, 80, 90% up or whatever it was. It was at least got a 2x on it.
Yeah. There's some money to be made on that one.
Yeah.
That's
the way it's been with most of our ecosystem. Unfortunately, it's just
right now. Yeah, there's a lot of memes that people are making money on right now. It's just the whole P-dye thing.
But here's the thing: like, most people aren't making money on it, though, and I think that's the unfortunate truth. Is these guys come on Twitter and they're like, "Oh, look at these." One of them, I won't say his name out loud, but man, like, he's posting all this BS on Twitter about how all the meme guys were the ones making all the money. And I'm following along, like, I'm open. I want to see, like, where's the money at? I'm happy to follow along. And so I went and looked at a couple of I was on one night and he posted a couple of charts. He's like, "Oh, I'm getting into these ones." And I went to buy one of them, and I did. I put in like $200. But that's all you could buy without moving the price chart really significantly against yourself.
No liquidity.
And I'm like, look, bro, if you can put $100 in or $200, like, even if you got a 10x on that, you made $1,000. Like, good for you. Like, there's not most of this stuff. There's not real big moves and plays to be made right now, at least from what I've seen. If you guys know about them and I'm missing something, I'd love to know it. But I think it's just a lot of patience right now, waiting around for the markets as a whole to look more bullish.
I mean, the coin's called Real Bitcoin. How can you not play the law of memes on that? Right. And you got back in on the second pump, and you go a little bit higher, and then you're done. But I mean, yeah, if you went to their Telegram, it's fucking hilarious. But
a few of our OG Hex buddies out here in Puerto Rico made some money on that one.
Oh yeah,
they were running. That was funny.
Yeah,
it was very mysterious the time that RBC popped up right as a certain group kind of died off over there on Telegram.
Yeah. Yep. Surprise. Some of the comments are always funny. Yeah, Jacob. If you're holding Richard tokens right now, all you are massively down. That's a fact. And I don't think that and frankly, like, I don't think Richard's gonna do shit for anybody until the SEC stuff is resolved or we're in a more bullish area in general. And we're about Richard. We like Richard, but like, those are the facts right now. And putting your head in the sand about only buying Richard stuff and hoping that he saves you, I just don't think there's a ton of wisdom in that. But you do what you will with your own bags. Yep. Well, Cook,
but at the same time, did you? Oh, sorry.
Nope. Go ahead. You're good, Norbert.
Yeah. Did you hear that this Pepe is going down significantly, and that they changed things, and then the selling off? I'm extremely happy. I'm extremely happy about this to happen. Not because the people are losing money, but we're never gonna be taken seriously until this meme is going to the back, and then the real DeFi, the real good stuff comes to the front. Otherwise, what you mean? I put money on a frog face, and then I take money out, and then I made it. It's anyone. If you, I'm sure you have smart individuals and wealthy individuals around you because you're in properties. Try to imagine that you need to explain this to like, oh hey buddy, okay, I'll explain you how this crypto things works. So you come with me. You see this frog face? Let's put some money on, and then we just wait, and then probably in like 2 days time we're gonna take out 20x, and the guy's gonna be like, what do you mean 20x? Like it would be 2 weeks. So I think it's not the way forward. If we want crypto adoption, if we want to be taken seriously, this meme shit has to go to the background, and the real stuff has to come to the front. And it's gonna be a good example that you can gamble on these things. Yeah, maybe they're gonna give you the exits, but you're gonna be exit liquidity for those guys who put money in when it was like a $5,000 or $50,000 market cap, and that's the way how I see it.
Unfortunately, all this stuff it's all downstream from culture, and we have to follow what the culture of our people, of the people surrounding us that are still around. So I'm not putting money into Hex Orange HOA, and that's okay. Like, I've even heard the guys that are promoting it be like, I've got $500, and if I lose it, it's literally what I would have taken to a casino. I'm not pumping, or they pump the crap out of it, but most people don't understand the psychology that this is all downstream of the people that are around. And so I'm seeing Jacob Hexladder here in the comments. I get it. You don't agree with this, and buy Richard tokens. I still buy Hex. I still buy. I mean, if you weren't making Hex ladders, making more Hex stakes over these past 3-4 weeks, especially after what Crispy's been talking about, what's coming in November, it's insane. And what's coming in next year or two.
Yeah, we still love RH, man. I mean, I'm still stacking node validators. That's my favorite play. I've been stacking node validators. I plan on buying a few more. I mean, I love node. I'm getting paid 17% on my Pulse, and I'm pretty liquid. You know what I mean? It takes about 24 hours to receive my Pulse back. But like, I love that play, and so that's my RH, my strongest RH play, and that's what I've been going after for the last 2 months since shortly after the launch. I was like you, Paul. I stacked up some Hex. I created some stakes. I stacked a little bit of Pulse X to kind of try to get my cost average down. But since then, I've been only after one thing, and that's node validators. But I still love the third-party protocols. I don't participate in meme coins too much, hardly at all, actually. But I love the third-party protocols. I love Fiat. I love Fame. I love Power City. I have Sacked for Mintra. I mean, there's probably some I can't think of. Oh, Pulse Pot. I even participate in
liquid loans.
Liquid loans. Like, those are the things that is going to drive the ecosystem, and literally why Richard Hart is fighting this battle. Those things are grabbing the bull by the horn and dragging us through this bear market, and it's going to get us to the other side. And yes, the RH coins are going to pump, and they're going to do great in the future. But right now, it's those third-party protocols that are saving the day. So, but I'm participating in all of it, except for the meme stuff. I don't jive with. I'm not buying HOA. Like, I'm not like these guys in there with their HOA dang. What is it? Tang gang.
And it's not condescending laughter. It's disgust that how much we screwed up by sacrificing for everything. And we've watched, like, yesterday I showed up at work and I made the mistake of clicking on my portfolio. And when I went to leave, I clicked on it again. I saw 15% evaporate out in a day.
Yeah.
It's
just the same here. I'm keep putting more and more in Fux, PHUX. I'm putting more. Yeah, okay, add liquidity, and then refresh, and then it's like less than when I started the whole process. I was like, where did the money go? It's crazy.
That's why I think there is some wisdom what Dane was talking about earlier. Of just holding back for a moment and let the market do what it's going to do, because it sucks to keep DCA and catching that falling knife. It's like you DCA, and then like a week later, it's down 20% again. You DCA again, and then it's down 20% again. It's like, okay.
But that's why we should do it in smaller increments, and then only on double-digit red days to put a bit more. Like as you were mentioning at the beginning, Corey, that you remember that you put a bit too much.
Look,
upward.
We don't have to buy the perfect bottom. We don't. Another strategy is let it bottom, and we don't know where that's at. We just don't know. And then when it starts finding support and it brings up a leg, when it comes up a leg and it has support, DCA there. It's going to be lower than what we're doing now. And then you don't have to buy the perfect bottom. And at least now you're not catching the falling knife.
Yeah. There's lots
but
of
then those levels gonna come, as we discussed earlier, only if these we just have to follow the news. New protocols comes out, that could be a sign of a reversal until something significant change on Pulsechain and Hex, like is even I was hoping a little bit that this documentary is gonna give us a bit of boost, a bit of push from the back, to
I never thought it would.
No?
Nah.
It just makes me sad, like people buying these face tokens and like
like sentiment in general sucks. There's just not a lot going on right now, and that's kind of and so none of this is nothing is going to be real exciting until everything kind of turns around. And Jacob, like, bro, you're just not listening. Go buy more, go get more hex ladders and stake for 15 years if you think that's the way. Like, by all means, knock your socks off. But if you look at the charts don't lie. There's lots of things that are outperforming Richard's tokens, period. That's a fact. And whether you want to participate in those things or not is up to you. It doesn't matter to us. You do whatever you want with your bags. But if you put your head in the sand and you continue to buy into the maximalism, well, then that's how you end up 99% down, like the people that bought Hex at the top and thought it was going to go to $2, and here they are just holding bags. Like, there's a way to play the game. And it's not putting your head in the sand and thinking that Richard is going to save you from everything and everything's just going to go swimmingly well. There's a way to play the game. And so we're trying to educate and give our opinions. You can play it however you want, though. Most people that played it the way that you have are way down. So it's up to you.
Yeah, we'll just tell what we're doing. I mean, we're not giving financial advice anyways. It's like we have no clue. Like, we don't have a crystal ball. And even me and Dane, our strategies vary some. Like, I would say about 90% we're on the same page with our strategies, the way we play our bags, but we vary, and that's okay. And so you have to make your own decision. And that's, at the end of the day, you got to live with that decision. So,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. B-Roots made $28 million on SHIB, and how stupid it is that he came up with a law that actually works.
I know.
Hey, let me chime in real quick. I got a thought on what you're saying, Dane, because what I've done is I've taken these more third-party PH other tokens. I've rotated some of my Pulse into them that are holding more strongly. Then Pulse goes down, and then I'm waiting for it to go down more, and then I rotate back. And man, I've built my bags by almost 50%. By doing this little strategy, find other things that are doing better.
There's lots of opportunity if you're willing to look, and if you're Jacob, you're just you're missing the point. If you're so brave, come and talk about it in the live room if you think you're so right. Otherwise, you're missing it. That's fine. Yeah, but we appreciate you guys. Seriously, we appreciate the different opinions. I think it's important to be able to have dissenting opinions. That's how we learn. We could all think through processes and figure out how you want to play the game. And we appreciate you guys coming in live. It's fun to have people on the show that'll give commentary and try to shine some light into our blind spots and see what's working and what's not. I think there's a ton of upside and cool things to look forward to. And now's the time in the market where there's just a lot of patience to be exercised. This is the worst part about being an investor, when there's not much to do other than sit around on your hands and wait. That's the name of the game for most of the time.
Well, you could find other ways to go out there and make money.
Sell your kidney for the car insurance.
Crypto is not the only thing that's out there you can make money from. There's a lot of things. Go create a business. Go,
buy a house.
98% of the businesses are failing. 98% of the businesses are failing.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of buddies who are still flipping houses and making a killing.
Yep.
There's opportunity. There is opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, cool, guys. This is probably a good place to jump off and call it a day. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you guys being willing to come on live. We invite you guys to come on if you're watching the show and you're feeling a little shy. That's fine. But if you're feeling the desire to come in, we'd love to have you on next time. Sloss on. What's up, Sloss?
Sloss on. You're a little late, bro. We talked about Icosa like 45 minutes ago. I'll be on a Sloss show tomorrow. I do believe it's 3 p.m. EST, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sloth. But Dane, you're invited too. But Sloth's going to be streaming tomorrow, and I'm going to hop on there. And man, he's just got the giga brain. I learn something every single time when I talk to Sloth. So
right, absolutely,
definitely.
Yeah. Once again, thanks everybody joining on, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys. All the best.